Tejo nerfs are here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to watch through the video once and then go through all of these changes and talk about where Tejo is. Let's dive straight in.
We're making some changes to Tejo. While agents are meant to change how you strategize around the game, and abilities are what make Valorant Valorant, our goal is to ensure that the game still feels like a tactical shooter first. So when certain synergies and ability overlaps move us away from that goal, it is important for us to correct them. Since Tejo's release, we've watched players master the use of his rockets, and over time, we've seen enemies feel that their options of counterplay are limited, and that misplaying often leads to checkmate scenarios. His ability to use rockets on cooldown throughout the round from safe distances has felt unhealthy. So we'd like to bring Tejo a little closer to our other initiators that require more vulnerable positioning when using abilities and make decision-making around his rockets more intentional and meaningful.
Okay, so they saved the biggest change there until last, but let's go through them in order as we just saw them just there, right? So the first change here is that the ult is going from 8 to 9, which is fine, I guess. It's not necessarily the nerf that I would have gone for. I think keeping it as an 8-cost ult would have been absolutely fine. We've seen, I would say, mixed ult usage overall, right? Some of it has been good, some of it has been poor, some of it has been very, very poor. It can often be an ult that maybe is sometimes difficult to do, you know, like absolutely on the fly, like, you know, in exact moments and stuff like that. So personally, I'm not sure that this change is needed to be made, but okay, it is also a nerf, so, you know, it is what it is. The next change, the stealth drone is going from 300 to 400 creds just there. Let's stick with the stealth drone first. This is absolutely fine. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that because, you know, a silver drone costs 400 credits, right? So it almost feels like an oversight that the stealth drone didn't always cost 400 credits. I'm sure most of you are absolutely fine with that. And also the change to the special delivery as well, going from 300 to 200. So in terms of those two abilities, the overall cost is the same. And again, I think that those are both fitting for the level of these abilities, right? I think that absolutely makes sense and, you know, isn't too big of a problem. Now, this, of course, is a pretty big change. So you used to just obviously have 2 rockets just straight away, but now you have to buy this second rocket, right? So it's kind of like a Sky Flash deal where, and some of you, of course, will know that, you know, you could send a rocket with just one out anyway, right? You didn't have to send both of them out. You could just send one out. Well, now you have to buy the second one to actually get it. So it costs 150 credits. So that was what it used to be. But now you have to buy a guided salvo. So if you're asking me, like, what's the new, like, pistol round tail look like? It probably looks like buying a guided salvo and buying a special delivery, I would say, for 200. That's 350. Which will then give you 450 left, I think, right? Yeah, so you can buy a frenzy with that, or you could buy light shields as well. That's probably the best buy, I would say, for Tejo for the most part, right? So yeah, having to buy the salvo, of course, again, like, you know, when they make changes to ability costs, like, it doesn't matter that much apart from, like, pistol rounds and maybe eco rounds, right? Like, for the most part, that's not the biggest deal a lot of the time. And even this, had they just done this, I don't think that would be the biggest deal in the world either, apart from obviously what's coming later. Obviously the map, the size, again, not necessarily a change that I think will make a massive deal going from 55 to 45. I mean, you can see the difference that it does make, but like a 45, I mean, if you want to still ping one out to C, I mean, you know, from where we are here, you still can, you can reach A, like, it's not really a massive, like, you know, the range again, I'd like, especially with, you know, nerfing Tejo, he's now only, you know, he's gonna be better on, like, more specific maps now anyway, and those maps are probably gonna be the smaller maps, so, you know, reducing the range, it will matter some of the time, right? You know, maybe if bind within the map pool, we'd be saying this is a bigger deal or whatever, but as it is now, I don't think that this change matters that much. Really, the change that matters, of course, is the fact that there is now no cooldown. That really is the big thing, right? That is really what matters here. Of all of the nerfs that they've gone with here, this is the one that really, and we've already seen it, right? We've seen it with Sky, how big of a change removing cooldowns is. It is a gigantic nerf. You cannot understate how big of a nerf that is. And it is such a big nerf that it will drastically impact, if not, I would say, kill Tejo's pick rate. I honestly think that they have overkilled him. Like, legit, no joke, this I think is overkill. As good as Tejo was, and maybe it's not quite overkill, maybe there's still space for him somewhere. But like now, like let's compare Tejo now to Sky, right? The other initiator who doesn't have any rechargeable utility. Is Tejo definitely better than Sky? I'm sure some people will say yes, but other people might say, well, now Tejo has a 9-cost ult, and, you know, Sky's ult is maybe better than Tejo's in some situations, and the flashes are also very good from Sky, so, you know, and Sky has a dog that's pretty good, maybe not quite as good as the drone, but, you know, still pretty good as well. Like, you know, they're comparable is my point, and Sky's pick rate is in the mud, and that, I think, should be kind of your symbol of where this is going. For me, this is Tejo somewhat in the mud. Now, if you're talking about still using Tejo, the way I would see, you know, you want to use Tejo, and you still could get value from it, but you're going to see, I think, a lot more of, like, solo rocket use, if you get what I mean, right? Where you'll want to, I think, use, like, one of the rockets as, like, part of your initial exec, and then the second one as part of the post plant, right? Because often when you think about the post plant, like, the second one that you put directly on the spike as well, you know, it doesn't matter that much, right? Like, it does get that little tiny delay of the fact that it takes a bit longer to get there, but for the most part, right? Like, it's not doing a ton in a lot of those scenarios. So that's probably how you want to play it, right? You'll want to make good use of the drone, get good with the stun, I guess, and then, yeah, use one, like, guided salvo to do something, and then, like, the second one is, like, part of a post plant or something, like, you know, or like you could do one as like a spike denial and then the second one as maybe a second spike denial, right? Like, you know, that could be nice, right? Like, that actually might be better in some circumstances than what you can kind of do now if there's only like one obvious plant spot that they're going to be planting in. So there is like maybe some use there that you could still get out of the agent, but I do think that, you know, this is a very significant nerf. Having no cooldown is a very, 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 very big nerf for any initiator. Is really hitting the absolute panic button, essentially. Personally, I still think that changing the cooldowns for initiators is a much better solution than this, right? Because I think, you know, maybe I'll be surprised and Tejo still will be picked a lot, but I just think, like, why, like, you'll just play other things, right? Like, it's not like KO and Sova and Fade or Gecko, like, you know, those agents are still good, right? They're not bad, especially if they're just buffing KO as well. Like, I play KO, like, KO's good. In terms of the timing, it is interesting because this is coming out in the patch in 2 weeks is when this will be hitting, so that will be, you know, mid-May. Well, Toronto starts June 7th. I don't think they're gonna have it for Masters Toronto if it starts on June 7th. That would be my guess. Like, to be fair, if all of the regions, so China and America's here, right? They're ending May 4th, you can see just here, but Pacific and EMEA is finishing May 19th. So had they all finished May 4th, I think you could make an argument that it would be fine to have that in the patch for Toronto, right? Because that's a full month, essentially, if you know that these changes are coming, you know, for every team. Like, you could make a change there. For the EMEA teams, where, like, you know, yeah, you don't have quite as long, and, you know, obviously the EMEA teams will need to travel and all that, so I don't think that they will have this in for Masters Toronto. I don't think. I'm sure we will get an answer somewhat soon. Maybe some people already know. If you do already know, leave it in the comments down below, but my assumption is that Tejo will still be good all the way up until Masters Toronto.